And yeah, so yesterday we discussed, right, like how we can create a class, how we can create the variables, and how we can access, how we can create object, how we can create the method, and how we can perform some actions on that. So all those things we saw for now. And today we didn't use constructor yesterday. So constructor is very important concept. So how we can include a constructor in Python, we can see, and how it's going to work. What is the purpose of constructor? Okay, and examples also we're gonna see today. Okay, okay. If you see, the first thing is constructor is a special method in Python. So it is also one of the method. Okay. Yesterday we saw it, they created the display method. So that is our own. But here one predefined name is there for the constructor. So that is called init. Okay. Init. Double underscore I this one. You can see, right? Double underscore init double underscore. Init. We are going to call it as init. Okay. Init is a constructor in Python. And for this init function or for this init method, we should pass self keyword as the first method. Sorry, first parameter. I already told you why we are using self. Self is the default variable which is always pointing to the current object. Yesterday I showed you how it's going to point to the current object, right? Are you clear on that?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So by using this self, we can access the, just don't just remember this instance. I will tell you, we have different kinds of variables and different kinds of methods, like instance variables, class variables, static variables. So these three types we have. I will explain you tomorrow. What is instance variable, what is class variable and all. Okay. For now, it is used to access the variables and methods. Self is used to access the variables and methods of the object. Okay. If you see, constructor will be executed automatically at the time of object creation. Okay, I will tell you. So here, this is object creation, right? We did yesterday. This is object creation. Okay. So whenever you are going to create an object, it's going to execute the constructor. Okay. Whenever you create an object, it's going to execute the constructor. Okay. How it will execute and what is the purpose of the constructor, I will tell you. Okay. With the help of code, you can understand more. Okay. See, if you create one object, for each object creation, constructor going to execute. If you create three objects, three times the constructor will get execute. Okay. Clear? And it's going to have at least one parameter. So you can have any number of parameters, or if you don't want to have any parameters, if you don't want any parameters, you should have self. Self is mandatory for the constructor. Self. Okay.
Okay.
See, now I will explain you how it's going to work. Now you saw, right, yesterday we did this function, created this class. The same thing, how we can do with the help of constructor, we are gonna see. And I will explain you what exactly it will do for the user. Okay? Class, student, and see, if you are using constructor, the first and foremost method in the class should be the constructor. Okay, same. It is also not one of the special, it is also one of the method, right? So that's why we are using the def and double underscore init. In interviews, they are going to ask you what is init? What is the purpose of init? By end of this class, we are going to know. We are going to understand what is the purpose of this. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. And here you have two variables, right? Name and age are variables. Just pass them here. Do like this. And what we are going to do, self dot name. You are assigning name value to the self dot name. Okay? And you are assigning age to the self dot age. This name after equals to, you can see name and age, right? Those are the values you are passing, and those values you are assigning to self dot name and self dot age. So whenever you did like this, for example, if you have other other functions like this, okay, other methods like this, display one, display two, or multiple methods you have, at the time you no need to pass this name and age to the each method. Okay, you no need to pass name and age to the each method. You can directly access them using this self dot name. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, for printing the name, I'm creating one method. Self is mandatory. Okay, so for this instance method, we should pass self. Okay, for the methods, we should pass self. Like this. See, here I'm not passing this name variable here, the name variable here, but I'm directly accessing with the help of this one. Where I did this initialization, I did that initialization inside a constructor. So I, without passing that variable to the method, I can call that any number of times anywhere. Okay. Same for
Sorry,
any.
come again.
So if you initialize the variable with the help of constructor, okay, you no need to pass those variable to each and every method. You no need to pass
Okay.
that variables to each and every method. Wherever you want to access that, you can simply go to the constructor. You can check how you initialized it, and you can access that self dot name. If you give for name variable, if you give self dot name, you can use that. If you give self dot age, for age you can use self dot age. You no need to pass it, you can use it directly. Okay.
Okay.
So this might help you while doing the calculator. You can try it. Like I told you, right? Yesterday, trying this way. Same the calculator one. Try in this way and try with the constructor. Then you can understand very clearly what is the difference. Okay. So here you should understand. So if you see yesterday, and if you are passing the data, if you are passing the data to the methods directly without constructor, and whenever you are calling that, at the time itself you can pass the data. But whenever you initialize the data with the help of constructor, while creating the object itself you should pass. While creating objects itself you should pass. So what it will do, so while creating the object itself, it's going to assign the data to the variables. Okay. Now in place of name Deepa will be there, in place of age 24 will be there. So to the self dot name Deepa will get assigned, and for this self dot age 24 will get assigned. Okay.
Okay.
Now if you call s dot print name, you no need to pass any parameters. Sorry. S dot age. Save it. See, it's done. Same, whatever you got yesterday, the same thing worked here. Clear? This is how we can do with the help of constructor. Understood, Deepa? If you
Understood.
don't want to do, if you don't want to do anything here now, that is also up to you. If you want, okay. So at that time, you should give pass here. Remember, if you don't want to do anything, okay, most of the
Mm-hmm.
time we are going to use it, use this for, you should have some data inside that, okay, like print,
Well,
um, constructor. If you don't want anything, you can simply put pass, okay. At the time, you should pass here. Name you should pass here. You should remove the cell because we are not assigning, right? Age you should pass here. Keeper you should pass here. And age you are gonna pass here. This is another way. But see, for each thing, for each object I told you, right? For each object, the constructor going to execute. If you give pass, it won't do anything. But I gave some print statement, that's why it got printed here. So whenever the object created, now at that time itself, it's going to execute. That's why it printed I am constructor. Okay? If you give, if you create one more object, remember object name should be different, Deepa.
this one thing I know.
Object name should be different. In same function. See, I'm constructor, I am constructor. It got executed twice because you created objects two times. You created the object two times. That's why the constructor got executed twice. Okay? Understood? Deepa,
Mm,
clear for you?
yes, yes.
Yeah. So if you initialize the objects with the help of constructor, the advantage is whenever you create an object, it's going to initialize the variables. Okay? It's going to assign values to the variables while creating the object itself. And at the time, you should give the values while creating the object and you should pass the data to the class as a parameters. This is when we are going to work with constructor. Okay.
Okay.
And one important program they are gonna ask you, okay. The simple way I will tell you. So they might ask you to count the number of objects that got created for a class. How you can do? They will ask you to print the number of objects. For example, in this scenario, you created 3 objects, it should print 3. If you create 2 objects, it should print 2. If you create 4 objects, it should print 4, right? So in this case, the init method, the constructor going to help you a lot because I already told you when constructor going to execute, whenever an object got created, constructor going to execute. Okay, now we can do simply, you can give any name and you can take one variable here, count equals to 0 and define the constructor. You no need to pass anything, just give it as self, that's it, if you don't want to give anything. But here what you can do, the class, see, This is outside the count variable. The count variable you are not defining in any method, or you are not passing as variable to any method. So at that time, if you want to access this variable, you should use the class name. Okay, the class name is a dot count. You can increase it by 1, because for each object creation, constructor going to execute, right? For on one object creation, for example, you created one object. At the time, constructor going to execute, and it's going to increase the count value by 1. And next time you created one more object. At the time, two objects will be there. Already the count value is 1. It will increase by 1. At the time, count value is 2. Understood?
Yes.
So now just simply go print, create the object. Now you should call same. You should use the class name and you should use the variable, because this is class variable. You are not defining that inside any class. So that's why this is class variable, and to access the class variable, you should use the class name. I will explain you the variables, okay? At the time you can understand. Now you create one more object. Create one more object. Now just print it. Save it. See, first time you created only one. At that time, okay, init got executed and count value is increased by 1. At that time, it printed 1. Next time, you created two objects. For S1, init got executed and already in count, I have 1. 1 plus 1, it will become 2. Next, you created one more object. 2 plus 1, it's 3. That's why the count it gave us 3. So now you created 3 objects. This is how constructor will help us to understand. Clear, Deepa? A very important thing. I think I might faced in some interviews, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you try to understand. If you're not able to understand, let me know. Hello.
Yeah, Manasa. It is kind of twisted actually.
But for now, you understood, right?
Yeah, I understood, but yeah, as you said, it's kind of a twist.
Yes, that's what it's like. Some bit tricky. Okay, but if you do some practice, or if you try to understand, and if you try to learn, definitely no doubts, right? For now, or if you have any
Right.
doubts, I will try to explain you again.
Okay.
So if you get any doubts,